Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Doppler 10 Chief Meteorologist Jerry Martz, joined with Doppler 10 Meteorologist Michael Behrens, kind of bringing you up to speed on what's happening this afternoon and what to expect for the rest of the evening. A quick look back before we look ahead in the forecast for the day today. Many of us saw sunshine, fair skies, but the clouds quickly coming back in. And the past couple of frames of this showing the clouds lowering and thickening, and then a couple of showers moving on through with some thunderstorms as well. Right now, we're looking rather ominous in the short term, meaning downpours and thunderstorms, gusty winds, even some small hail not out of the question. But overall, the threat continues to be toward later this evening into early tonight. At the moment, there are no watches or warnings around central Ohio, and that is good news. But in terms of the radar scan, we're looking pretty active right now, and that's stretching from Marion down toward Columbus, Lancaster, Circleville, and down toward Laurel, down toward the Hocking Hills, and then points off toward the southeast. Now, we're going to expand this view just a bit for you and show you what's happening a little further off toward the west. That continues again to show mainly dry conditions for us. And behind that line, we're looking at a couple of hours of dry weather. That's a problem because what we're looking at right now coming on through, some downpours, some gusty winds, even some stronger thunderstorms down to the south. But what we're looking at again in terms of the satellite radar, that does show the activity in terms of the cloud cover beginning to thin to the west. So we're going to put this into motion for you, and that's going to show the thicker clouds in the radar, the thunderstorms lighting up and lining up. But again, the strongest cells to the south. Behind that, while we will stay cloudy for another hour or two across central Ohio, it's further off toward the west. So let's expand that view just a bit for you. That does show the clearing skies across extreme western Ohio and central and eastern Indiana. It's this area right here which we're watching very closely. If and when that begins to clear out, that means that there'll be more fuel for those thunderstorms. We already have plenty of moisture. We already have a trigger with a cold front coming through. So we're starting to put these ingredients together and time it out for you. And that will be later on this evening into early tonight. So again, this first line coming through at the moment is sub-severe for central Ohio. That is good news. To the west of that, we're seeing that sizable break, and then we're looking at the real possibility of some stronger thunderstorms and severe weather as we go through the next couple of hours. So let's get in there for you and show you the hour-by-hour forecast, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock, and then right around 8 to 9 o'clock, that's when that line of stronger storms begins to move through, passing by between about 8 o'clock all the way to about 1 a.m., and then moving quickly off to the southeast. So that's a big picture look at where we've been, what we're dealing with right now, for a look at maybe some of those inspection of the radar scan and a more context around the rest of the evening. Let's bring in Michael Behrens for his take on things. Michael?
Yeah, we're watching those two lines of rain showers and storms pushing through central Ohio this afternoon into the evening hours. This first round, while it comes through with some of those heavy showers, possible thunder, maybe some gusty winds, it's really not the main focus for this evening. That's going to be that line that's still back out toward Illinois. It's coming together here this early afternoon, and we're going to see those chances for rain continue to develop as we work our way through the next little bit. Showers and storms pushing into the region. We'll see that continue, this first wave at least, to push out of the region before we watch the second wave start to develop and push into Indiana into Ohio as we head through the rest of tonight. We're already seeing some of those strong storms push their way through the Chicago area at this hour. We'll take a closer look at what we see here on the radar right now. First, we'll stop the loop here, put this into current update mode, and then we'll see what we're looking at with the storms starting to form and head our way. Those storms up toward Chicago producing severe weather and tornado warnings into southern Wisconsin. There's lots of spin in the atmosphere this afternoon, so it's not going to be surprised to see more of these types of storms form in the coming hours, especially with the clear air that we have back down toward Indiana. We'll move that way here on the map for you and show you just what we're talking about. We're seeing some storms start to form south through central Illinois, east of Peoria, down past Springfield. Lots of quiet weather into Indiana. Of course, like we were saying, that's the bad news, because the more quiet air we get in place, the easier it's going to be for the atmosphere to build more energy and to see some storms form as these systems push through that more energized air. That's the concern for later this afternoon, and that's the reason we do have those weather risk in place. As far as the watches go, we do have tornado watch in place across most of Indiana. This stops about I-69 east central Indiana. This goes till 9 o'clock tonight, so nothing in Ohio yet. But as we head through this evening, they're likely going to extend watches our direction. That would be my expectation, especially with the severe weather outlook we have in place. Speaking of which, we'll go ahead and put the outlook on and we'll come back over toward Ohio just to show you what we're looking at here. We'll go to the whole state view here. We have a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather as we head through this evening. Does include the city of Columbus, so pretty good threat here for strong storms coming later this evening. The concern would be all types of severe weather being possible here. Wind, hail, potential for tornadoes, all of those in the cards for tonight as well. In fact, we'll put on the sort of more detailed version of this. This is an area where the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center, where you see those black hatch marks, where they're definitely concerned about that risk for tornadoes this evening. That covers Indiana into Ohio. We're going to see that threat continue beyond really about 8 o'clock tonight here in central Ohio. I would expect to see those storms start to roll our way. Jerry?
Michael, was pretty critical because, as you mentioned, and we talked about at the start of this 10 TV Plus special broadcast, is that, yeah, we're seeing some showers and maybe a disruption to your late afternoon plans. Kids getting off the bus, maybe you've got to run to the grocery store, maybe you're trying to get out and get a little bit of a walk in. This is a problem, but only a temporary problem. So let's take a quick look right now, a closer inspection on some of those areas that are getting a couple of those downpours right now and some of the thunderstorms. Closer look right now, specifically around Columbus and just points across the southern parts of Franklin County. Around Columbus down toward Obetz, you do see the numerous flashes of lightning in and around Franklin County, but a pretty quick cutoff once you get to Plain City, Hilliard, and then down toward West Jeff and Harrisburg. That area, again, still a couple of showers, but the real downpours, those are moving in and are really affecting areas, again, in the southeastern corner of Franklin County, Gahanna, toward Groveport, and down toward Lockbourne again, and seeing those frequent lightning flashes. As we've been looking and watching the strongest thunderstorms this afternoon continue to be off toward the south. So that's the area we're watching. We'll take a quick trip down Route 23 through Asheville down towards Circleville. You do see this area, a lot of green, not a lot of lightning and not a lot of red and orange. So again, some downpours and some showers there, but the thunderstorm threat that continues to move off toward the north and east. So we'll take a look then as we head over toward Laurelville, southeastern corner of Pickaway County, then heading over toward Logan County. You see as the radar sweep comes around, clearly focusing on some of those areas of red and the deeper orange. That's the case also down toward Vinton County and toward Fairfield County. We'll take a quick look right there now. That does show the activity that we've been watching in and around Franklin County, moving off toward the northeast. So around Clear Creek and around Good Hope, those areas again look rather wet at the moment. But the only good news about this particular line of showers and thunderstorms, it's not severe, number one, that's some good news. And it's moving by at a pretty good clip, about 40 miles an hour. So we're not seeing these storms laying down a lot of rain and going over the same place again and again. We're seeing kind of moving along and being transient, and that is good news. So we'll take off the lighting for you and clean that radar up for you just a little bit, and we'll zoom back out again to give you some perspective. This being the case kind of all through the 10 TV viewing area. It's a very slim line of showers and thunderstorms to the north. Mount Vernon, Morrow County, Knox County, Marion, Delaware, just some plain pesky rain showers. Central parts and east over toward Licking County, Franklin County, heavier downpours and some thunder and lightning, and that line extends to the south, but emphasizing again, behind that, we're not seeing anything, so we'll take another look at the radar, the satellite scan for you. This time we're going to put on the visible satellite. If that does, there it goes. And what this is, not something we normally show because it doesn't work well at night once the sun goes down, but a very good indicator right now of one of the things that we're most concerned about. After this line passes by, and let's put this into motion for you, that does show the area of clearing behind that. So that last, here's again the clouds and the showers, the bright white just showing those higher clouds and thicker clouds. To the west of that, getting toward I-75 and then further off toward the west, a couple of hours of dry conditions, number one, but also a couple hours of sunny conditions. And that's what's most concerning for us as we begin to move into the second half of the afternoon and the evening. So we're going to pause this just for a second, and then we're going to look at the area that we're watching rather closely for that clearing to take place. So that area again, west of Urbana and Washington Courthouse. So that might make for a pretty dry evening. So if the kids have practice, if you want to get outside, but please exercise caution as you're doing that, because this nice dry area in between round number one and round number two, that's going to be a problem because that's going to allow, again, more fuel for those thunderstorms as they begin to move on through. So a quick look then, hour by hour for you again. That shows things settling down briefly between about 4 and 7 o'clock. Once we get get past that, we're going to be looking at that area again around 9 to 10 o'clock. That's the case as we look at the strongest thunderstorms, and that threat is the same. Coming up, we'll go through the timeline for you and watch hour by hour, not just the location of the strongest thunderstorms and the severe weather, but kind of picking out and teasing those threats. So, Michael, if you can have an opportunity, one of us will show that to our friends on 10 TV Plus. One thing to keep in mind as we get into Wednesday morning, 2 or 3 o'clock, we're going to sound the all clear, and much of your Wednesday should be dry. That's good news. Not totally out of the woods for Wednesday, but clearly our focus this evening is on the second half of this Tuesday.
Yeah, Jerry, you were talking about the timeline for those threats. We're keeping an eye on, like we said, all types of severe weather for this evening. Unfortunately, that includes pretty even risk for hail, wind, and tornadoes. Here's the timeline across central Ohio as we head into this evening. We could see some strong winds here, maybe some hail as we start to get past 5 o'clock. The tornadic risk starts to creep up as we head past 6, and it really ramps up once we get past the 8 o'clock hour. It's going to be 8 o'clock into this evening where we see those risks start to increase across the region. And again, like we said, it's all types of severe weather that could be possible for today: flooding, large hail, strong winds, and tornadoes. All things to be concerned with as we head into this evening. What we're keeping an eye on, in addition to that risk, is the recovery that comes in behind this line. The temperatures out there right now hanging around in the 70s. They do drop into the 60s when the rain comes through. I want to get you a better view here of some of those temperatures across the region. We'll take the big view here real quick, and then we'll show you the temperature map popping up across central Ohio. When it comes to those temperatures this afternoon, we are going to see an increase once we get past this round of rain. That already starting to take place back in central Indiana at this hour, where we're seeing some of those storms come through the region here this afternoon. Temperature out there toward Indiana starting to get back up into the 80s in some cases. We'll take the closer view here again. You can see just that quick drop in temperature where the greens are when the rain came through. We'll move this map further over toward the west, and you can see those oranges and yellows. Those are where the temperatures are kind of hanging out in the 80s. We see that recovery back out toward Indiana. Temperatures 70s, 80s down from Muncie through Indianapolis. That is the air that these storms are going to go into. So it's going to recover pretty quickly as we head into the afternoon. The other concern, how much moisture is in the air out there too. Dew points across central Ohio, we are firmly into summer-like, really sticky kind of air. Kenton, dew point 72, up to 69 in Bellefontaine, 65 here in Columbus, 69 in Chillicothe. That is very moist, very humid air. It's sticky outside. You can feel it as soon as you step out the door. This is the kind of environment that storms definitely like to form in, and we are going to be heading toward that risk throughout the rest of the afternoon today. And of course, that risk for storms going to pick back up as soon as this first line pushes out. We enter that clearing that we've been talking about back toward Indiana, and then that second area of disturbance back out toward Illinois and Indiana pushes into that refreshed air, and that's where we could see those storms again become strong by later this afternoon. It's certainly going to be a day to continue to watch through the afternoon what these storms do, what the risk factors are, because as we've said throughout the afternoon, we continue to see the risk for severe weather here at a level 3 out of 5. We'll put that information back up on the map for you here. It's a level 3 out of 5 from Indiana into Columbus. And keep in mind, the highest risk area for the afternoon is not even an area where the most active storms have gotten to yet. So these are probably going to really start to gain more strength in Indiana in the coming hours, and then that will give us a better picture of what to expect in Ohio later tonight. Jerry.
Michael, we talked about some of the threats, and one of the things we can look at from the future cast and the radar, and this is at 9:30. We're going to back it up a little bit if we can, and that will show the opportunity for this to kind of rewind. One of the things we're noticing is the initial line of some showers and thunderstorms has some individual characteristics. As we go through the evening hours after sunset, we seem to be forming a bit more of a line. And basically what this is telling us is that as we go through time, thank you very much, that we're looking again a couple of individual pockets and cells, this one again moving through to the east. east. A little bit of a lull, as we talked about, between about 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock, and then things begin to move in. You can't totally make a definitive statement about exact location and severity of the weather, but just looking at the characteristics of the storm as we're watching this, it does begin to show some individual cells and then kind of congealing into more of a line. That means that really anywhere along that line and within that thunderstorm complex that will have the opportunity for severe weather. You showed and talked about those threats. The most notable threat would be some hail and some high winds. Flooding, rain, not out of the question, and tornadoes, isolated tornadoes, are also in the cards. And the challenge then becomes, as we get past sunset, 9, 10, 11 o'clock up till about midnight, that we're looking at the opportunity for that severe weather to continue. So we're going to be up at 4 o'clock on 10 TV with an update as we go through the rest of the afternoon and evening. This is just round 1. We're expecting round 2 between 8 o'clock and midnight tonight to be much stronger and more widespread. Join us on 10 TV at 4, 5, and 6 o'clock for an update. And of course, we'll be tracking the storms all evening long.